What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is finally time for the Week 16 Premier League predictions, the final game week before the start of the World Cup. And we are coming off of some big winners. One perk of becoming a member of the channel is you do get a shout out in the video. So I'm going to shout out each and every new member because you're all just as important as the others. However, I think you'll all be keen to know some of the winning accumulators that I posted for members to get behind over the last weekend of fixtures. We had the Thursday fourfold Istanbul Başakşehir to win at a -1 handicap. They won 3-1. Roma to win, Braga to win, West Ham double chance and over 2.5 goals. They ended up winning 3-0. That was, of course, in the Conference League. Odds of 5.35. We had the result in both teams to score treble with late drama for Manchester City. PSG also scoring a late winner and Bayern doing what Bayern does, winning, and both teams to score. Odds of 14.17. The heavy favourites again, Dortmund, Bayern, City, AC Milan, PSG, all to win and over 2.5 goals. And my favourite of the lot, the Premier League mega acca, Brighton to win, Leeds to win, Newcastle to win, Arsenal and Liverpool draw no bet, both of them winning. Odds of 21.14. So if you want to get involved with the members, the accumulators and tips and everything like that, feel free to join the channel down below. Also, another perk of joining the members club is you can talk one-on-one with me. AJ Starr actually asked me on 2 separate occasions over the weekend for my preferred single, and I gave him 2 winners just in the comments. Mönchengladbach to win at 2.15 and AC Milan to win and over 2.5 goals, so I bet he was glad of that as well. So I am going to shout out the new members because, as I said, they're all equally important to me, so it is going to be a little bit long because there's a lot of members, but then we'll get into the Premier League predictions, tips, and everything like that. So first up, we have Paul in South Africa, Stephen, Mr. 007, Tochukwu. I'm going to try not butcher any of these names, but I will probably struggle. Camille Arendt, Bishal Shah, Scotty GG, WM, Gooner Firms, Z21. Big up the Gooners. Vasi Anania, Justin Casey, James Chiduli, Bayani Dalmani, Champ Boy, George Latash, Thugs Bunny, love that. The AJ Star himself, who asked for the single tips. Nez, double N, Siboniso Sele, Bobby Mirian, Tom Stain 18, Jacko, Palmer Poston, Anurag Pandey, Billy McGoljan, Joshua Ike, GK Atik, Gibson Chris, Chibuza Okonkwo, I'm sorry. Success at 101 rejoining again. Bikash Udash once again rejoining. Jordan Kelly, Binayak Dulal Vlogs, TN, Shale Bramdeo, Mdroni, JJ Star, Erdem Gukan, Ayush Chowdhury, Seke William, Mamalia back once again, and Boo Yummy. A lot of members, a lot of shout-outs, but I sincerely do appreciate it, and I'm glad that you're finding value in the tips and predictions that I'm giving. Remember, of course, to always gamble responsibly. I always say to do it with a stake that you feel like you can afford to lose. That way, it remains a little bit of fun. But if you want to get involved with the exclusive tips, talking to me one-on-one and other members, because you always chat amongst yourselves, which is really great, then feel free to click the join button or the link in the description. That was a lot of member talk, but it was a big week for accumulators, a big week for new members, and I love shouting out each and every one of you that do join the channel as a little extra thank you, because it is quite cool to see your name on screen. I imagine anyway. Gone a little bit crazy with the tips this week. There's a lot of value and there's a lot of exciting games. To be honest, one of the least exciting ones, Man City up against Brentford. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Manchester City. Erling Haaland should be back. I don't know what's happened in the Carabao Cup. Obviously, I have to pre-record these videos somewhat, but I think Erling Haaland will play, and even if he didn't, Man City will beat Brentford. I'm going to go for Man City halftime, Man City full-time at 1.53. I think Man City are such a good first half team, and if they didn't get the disallowed goal at 2-0 right before the Cancelo red card, it would have been another halftime, full-time comfortable victory for Man City. But Fulham made them work for it, and it is what it is. But I think Man City are going to win that one. After that, it's Bournemouth up against Everton. Bournemouth have a pretty decent record against Everton, actually, and I think they are playing in the Carabao Cup as well. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, because Bournemouth at home, I just think they've got something about them. I'm going to go for the 1-1 draw. My tip is both teams to score at 1.9. The bookies don't see many goals in this game, and whilst technically I agree with under 2.5 goals, I guess, I do think both teams will find a way to score. Bournemouth at home, you'd expect them to score, but Everton being a better team on paper than Bournemouth, you'd expect them to score as well. But as you can see here, they are right next to each other in the table. So a big 3 points on the line here, and I think they'll actually share the spoils. After that, Liverpool, Southampton. I'm going to go for a 2-0. Liverpool aren't quite firing on all cylinders as perhaps you'd expect. They got a good win against Tottenham, but they certainly did ride their luck a little bit in the second half, and Liverpool aren't quite the Liverpool that are just battering teams left, right and centre. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Liverpool. And because the bookies expect a lot of goals, I'm going to go for Liverpool to win and under 4.5 goals at 1.8. 1.8 odds for Liverpool to win and it not to be 4-1, 5-0, 3-2, something like that, I think is a very good increase from the 1.24 we're being given here. After that, it's, I don't know why this is Stamford Bridge, London. It's, hang on a minute, Stamford Bridge. Not sure. They're not playing at Stamford Bridge. But either way, Nottingham Forest up against Crystal Palace. This is going to be a close one. I thought Crystal Palace, what a result against West Ham. Nottingham Forest, they drew with Brentford 2-2. I think Forest have got a little bit more about them now than they did at the start of the season, but at the end of the day, they are still bottom of the league. Palace are starting to find a little bit of form, so I'm going to give Forest a goal. I'm going to go for an identical result of the last game week, 2-1 to Crystal Palace. My tip is Crystal Palace, draw no bet at 1.61. Forest definitely could win. I think this game might be a stay away from, because although I think Palace should win, Forest, I think, could do something here in this fixture. Now, after that, it's Tottenham Hotspur up against Leeds. Tottenham going through a little bit of a rocky patch. I think if Tottenham play the way they played, for example, against Marseille in the second half of the Champions League, and the way they played against Liverpool in the second half of that last game, they should win this one quite comfortably. But Leeds, they came back from 3-1 down against Bournemouth to win, so the energy levels are high. They're going to be hyped for this game. I'm going to give Leeds a goal for sure. I think this is the time Tottenham return to winning ways. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Tottenham. And my tip is Tottenham to win and both teams to score at 3.1. That's a double increase almost from 1.6. 3-1 to Tottenham. I think Leeds will contribute with the way they've been playing. They got the 4-3 win against Bournemouth, the 2-1 win against Liverpool. They're scoring goals. They lost to Fulham 3-2 there. The last time they failed to score was nearly a month ago against Leicester, who are on a little bit of a resurgence themselves, as you can see up the table there. So I'm going for Tottenham to win and both teams to score. Next up, it's West Ham against Leicester. West Ham missing out to Crystal Palace. I thought that was a bit of a shock, to be honest. And Leicester, they're looking all right. They beat Everton, which was another shock considering that it was at Goodison Park. I'm going to share the spoils again with a draw. West Ham, Leicester 1-1. I couldn't pick a winner. On West Ham's day, they can beat Leicester. Leicester on their day, they can beat West Ham. They're very similar teams. I think if they're both playing their full squad all season at their full strength, if you ignore Newcastle and their resurgence in form, if you take out the big six, you'd expect West Ham and Leicester to occupy those 7th and 8th spots, typically, even though it rarely happens, because they are good teams. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. My tip is both teams to score at 1.75, but I wouldn't shy away from the draw market here at 3.41. There's a few fixtures this game week I think could be a draw, and maybe that could make for a nice little double. After that, it's St. James's Park for Newcastle up against Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have won pretty much all the recent meetings between them and Newcastle. They always beat Newcastle, but this is a different Newcastle. And Chelsea, after being thoroughly outplayed by Arsenal, I know they only lost 1-0, but it could have been like 3-0 very easily. I think if it wasn't for Thiago Silva and some of the defending he did, Chelsea would have really struggled even more against Arsenal. And Arsenal were lacking that clinical final touch in that game. But Chelsea were overrun, in my opinion. And Newcastle were just going from strength to strength. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Newcastle win. Pretty brave considering how good Chelsea are. But you look at the league table. There's a reason why Newcastle are above Chelsea, and St. James's Park, their form there is a big part of that. So with Chelsea losing to Arsenal, losing to Brighton, it's going to be difficult for them. Could they get a result? Of course, they're Chelsea. But I'm going to go for Newcastle to win 2-1. My tip, again, both teams to score at 1.7. Because I think Chelsea will score, and there's no way Newcastle don't score with the form that their players are in. After that, we travel to Molineux for Wolves up against Arsenal. I'm going for a recent repeat result between these two teams. Arsenal to win at Molineux, 1-0. They beat Chelsea 1-0. They look good defensively. They're the joint most clean sheets this season with Man City and Newcastle. And with them being the top three, if that doesn't suggest that solid defense wins you leagues and gets you high up the table, I don't know what else does. Wolves struggling a little bit. I mean, they lost to Brighton, went down to 10 men in that game, of course. I'm going for a 1-0 into Arsenal. The defense has been really good, and I think Arsenal are going to win and remain top spot before the World Cup. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Moving on, we have Brighton up against Aston Villa. Aston Villa taking advantage of a tired Manchester United side, and Brighton managing to get the win against Wolves, helping me out with the Premier League mega accumulator. Whilst I do think Brighton are favourites, I do still think there is an element of a new manager bounce for Aston Villa, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think Brighton, they are the favourites. I think they could win. They could win this 3-0. But my tip is actually going to be Leandro Trossard to score at 3.5. I think the odds are absolutely brilliant. I do expect Brighton to score at least twice, and that's 2 shots at Trossard scoring, and I think he is good for a goal, as he has been throughout the season. He's playing in a more advanced position these days, and I think he could get a goal against this Villa side. Villa could win, Brighton could win, it could be a draw, so I'm just going for goals. The final game, Craven Cottage, Fulham up against Manchester United. I'm going for a Man United win. I know it sounds crazy after the performance we saw against Aston Villa, but there are a lot of factors that went into that made it difficult for Man United to win. I think Fulham are going to score. I'm going to go for the same scoreline that Fulham lost to Manchester City. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to United. United need a win in this fixture to try and keep the race on for top 4. And to be honest, United aren't looking too bad for top 4 as long as their squad can cope with the fixture congestion. Obviously, we're past a lot of it now, but we'll see more given that United finished second in their group. They, of course, got drawn against Barcelona. A lot of people saying that draw was rigged. And whilst, yes, it did look the guy picking the balls had his eye on the balls, there's no way he kept his eye on the ball because you see him look to the other guy and look back. I just don't think... I don't think he did that. I just think it's... luck of the draw. But I think Manchester United are going to win. My tip is going to be over 2.5 goals at 1.61. Much like with the Aston Villa Man United game, I predicted my tip would be both teams to score because I wasn't confident on the result, and it seemed to come to fruition. So these are my picks here. If I had to come up with an accumulator for all of these fixtures, let's have a little look. I think my pick would probably be Liverpool -1 handicap at Anfield, both teams to score in the West Ham and Leicester game, and Tottenham to beat Leeds. That would probably be my treble. And that comes in at odds of 4.58, so if you want to get on that, feel free. Also, I am putting a small stake on this Premier League mega accumulator. It's so crazy, but I might as well share it with you. Tottenham both teams to score, Man United both teams to score, Arsenal win to 0, Palace to win, and then both teams to score in the Bournemouth game and the Newcastle game. Again, small stake, bit of fun. Could happen. But yes, that is going to do it for my Week 16 Premier League predictions. The videos from this point onwards will be World Cup related until we return for League football in December. So that is going to do it from me. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe as well, as we're on the road to 25,000 subscribers. And I will see you in the next video very soon.